The moment our fellow geeks, dweebs, nerds, and other unfortunates have been fervently waiting for has finally arrived. It's time for TMI, Confessionals of the Nerd Kind. And now, your hosts, Jeff Nerfherder Chandler, Jim Kaiju Baker, and Christina Yojimbo Henry. You can continue. And now, let's get on with the show. Here is TMI.
Yeah.
Are we having Christmas? Merry Christmas. Yes.
Hi, everybody.
Or as Pee Wee would say, Feliz Navidad.
He couldn't quite get that, could he?
No, I don't know what it says about me that the two entertainers that make me the happiest are Weird Al and Pee Wee Herman.
Do you think that they've ever met? They must have. They probably hang
Had
out.
to have. I would love to be in that room. They're probably the most normal. Like if you listen to Weird Al, he's just a really normal guy. He was on Bill Maher. Bill Maher has a podcast. It was horrible. Bill Maher knew nothing about Weird Al. He's asking him the dumbest questions. And Bill Maher smokes pot on the podcast. So he's like freaking high as a kite. And Weird Al's like straight laced. And he's just like, what am I doing here?
Well, Weird Al, you come on this show and we'll treat you right. Just if you're out there listening.
I don't know if we need to just, throw adulation at him. I don't know if he can handle that.
Well, at least you're familiar with him, right? So you could actually ask him about his career.
That is true. But yes, this is we're extending Christmas as long as humanly possible.
Yes. Yeah. Last week wasn't really a Christmas, warm-hearted, warm and fuzzy.
The more I thought about it, I'm like, I can't believe these two had issues with this movie. I am 100% on board with that.
But no. Regardless of the issues, it wasn't really a conventional Christmas story. Either of those movies that we covered last week. This is more of your warm and fuzzy, put on slippers and a sweater and cuddle up in front of the fire Christmas show.
Get my mulled spice in front of the Christmas tree. A little drop of whiskey in there and we're good to go.
String up your popcorn.
Yeah, we haven't done that in a very long time.
I don't even put up ornaments anymore. It's just too much of a hassle. It's just lights, ribbon. That's about it.
I put all the lights up. My tree's been up for almost 2 weeks. I put it up Thanksgiving weekend. But you know, we wait until the kids come home to put the ornaments on. But now it's like the week before Christmas. They're going to come home. You put the ornaments on, it's there for 3 days, and now you got to take them all off.
I know. That's not only am I inherently lazy, but it's just...
No, I think we're all lazy.
It's too depressing to take them all off.
Take them all off. I will tell you, this is not lazy. This is ingenious. But my grandfather had an artificial tree. But what he would do is just keep the top part decorated. And he would put a plastic bag over it and just put it down in the basement. And then every year he would just bring it out, slap it on the coffee table, and take the plastic bag off. Boom, instant Christmas tree.
Instant Christmas tree.
Yeah.
So it was like, what, a 3-foot tall Christmas tree?
It wasn't
not
very
even
big, but it was great. I think artificial trees, I guess they've been around for a while, but
you know what? Do they still make silver?
Those
are cool. Those are cool.
Yes, the aluminum ones.
Yeah. Nightmare Before Christmas. They have a little stop motion version of it, but that color wheel.
Yes, I know.
Onto the aluminum tree.
Yes. We'll get into it with the Monkees Christmas special because tinsel was a big, huge thing back in the 60s.
Did they not have cats in the 60s?
I don't know. Yeah, because that goes right through a cat.
It does.
You don't need to be flossing.
And it doesn't completely come out of the cat either. It's like it's stuck there forever.
The cat's got ribbons.
It's a festive cat.
Yeah. But yeah, tinsel was huge. I think my father-in-law was like very anal about the tinsel. And we actually got fired from decorating his tree because we did not put the tinsel on correctly.
Not enough or too much?
I just think it's all had to be strands coming straight down. You had to like groom it. I don't have time for that.
It's like John Travolta. You got to brush that hair. Don't touch the tinsel. Don't touch the tinsel. All right, so we are talking about Christmas specials today.
Yes, which we've hit on. This one's brand new, at least one of them.
Way back in the day, if you've been listening to us or if you've ever looked at our old episodes, I think it was episode 37 where we talked about a slew of Christmas specials. And if we were thinking, we would say, well, maybe we should drag this out a bit and not talk about all of them in one episode, but we did. So those are off the table. Your Charlie Brown, your Grinch, your top tier Christmas specials.
Yeah. Even I think we even hit on the Star Wars holiday special.
Yes, we did. We've talked about that more than once, and it deserves.
That is a gift that keeps on giving, though.
Yeah.
Before we get off this ornament conversation, I do want to give shout out to our co-host, Christina, who is not here, because every year we exchange Christmas gifts, and I got mine the other day, and it is a Treasure Planet 20th anniversary Christmas ornament.
Ooh.
And my wife lost her freaking mind. She was so excited. She immediately had to put it on the tree.
Oh,
I'm like, well, it's a good thing your name is on this card as well. Otherwise,
that is a very thoughtful gift.
Yes. See?
Nice job.
Somebody actually listens to me.
Now, I've also gotten my box in the mail from Christina, but I'm not going to open it till Christmas morning.
I love the fact that you're just sitting on it. You're like, that's not Christmas yet. I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait. All right. Fair enough. I am. Yes. I tore into it the minute I saw it. I'm like, oh, I know what that's from.
Oh, but you know what I did tear into this week? All of our Christmas homework that we had to watch.
It was a lot.
But it got me in the spirit. I'll have to tell you.
So up front, we're going to talk about this Disney Plus Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special. It's been out for what? It's been out since Thanksgiving. So
it's been out since late November. Yes.
Yeah. And I want to say that I'm very happy that we waited to talk about this because I watched it that weekend.
Yep.
And hated it.
Hated it. That's strong.
Hated it.
I was strong.
Like going in. I was hoping for more of a Star Wars holiday special, very tongue in cheek. I don't know what it was. So rewatching it, I think I had a newfound appreciation for it. But if we had talked about it then, I would have just crapped all over it.
Well, sometimes you got to do that. You got to give yourself some distance to really let it sink in.
It could have been a cranky week on my part. That sometimes you go into this stuff and you carry some baggage with you. So
yeah, I did the same. I watched it when it first dropped, and I watched it again just a couple of days ago for this episode. My opinion really hasn't changed. So we'll get into it because this has been a long time coming. And as you said, when it was first announced, just the implication that they were calling it the holiday special.
Yeah.
Like you said, it kind of raised those memories of the Star Wars holiday special. So you're like, well, what what
even
could
Mark
this
Hamill,
possibly be?
Mark Hamill actually went on Twitter at James Gunn and was like, I got a bad feeling about this. Even he knew. He's like, dude, what are you doing?
Right. Imagine if they had done, because a lot of these bootleg copies, and we talked about this when we discussed the Star Wars holiday special, a lot of the bootleg copies you can get has the commercials, because these people recorded it right off TV.
Yeah, sure.
So imagine if they did like a WandaVision thing where they actually put fake commercials in there.
Yeah. Because if anybody hasn't seen this yet, it's on Disney Plus. Go watch it. But they do go to Earth. So you do have options there. You could have easily. There's a couple things I think he could have done to lean a little bit more into the Christmas special tropes. But we'll get there. We're not going to talk news today. Did we hit record when that happened? I don't even
We did,
know.
But I'll probably just take that was just for the benefit of the two of us. Yeah,
that's fine. Listen, people love to hear us crap. Everyone else in the world is crapping on DC right now, so we might as well just jump on board.
Right.
Actually, I think we were ahead of the curve on that.
No, I don't think so. I think most of the world was right with us on that one. All right, Guardians. So this is canon. So this does not sit outside.
Yeah, this is the fact that this is actually, it fits right in there.
Yeah, we're not talking about a Star Wars Lego Christmas special or any. Well, maybe that is canon. I don't know. But this is definitely supposed to be shoehorned in between Volume 2 and the, future Guardians Volume 3. And it does set up a few things. On second viewing, I was catching a few things that I didn't notice the first time around.
Yeah.
Mainly being that throwaway line that Nebula has, because they're on Nowhere, which was where the Collector was in the Guardians movies.
Right.
So he had his whole warehouse of stuff there, and he had Cosmo the dog in his own little cage and all these other beings. And
that's
where
apparently
they had to
a female now.
they're on Nowhere, which is the abandoned head of a celestial. Yeah. And you do get a few cool shots, far shots of the entire head floating in space. And Nebula says that they bought Nowhere from the collector.
Yeah, that seems. Was that from the money they got at the end of the second movie?
I don't know, but
reward?
I assume the collector was killed by Thanos.
Right. Yeah.
But I don't know where he is. Maybe he's just now a forgotten character. But yeah, the Guardians now are setting up shop in Nowhere, and that looks like to be their home base. And they're kind of rebuilding it. Whatever citizenship is there is like working in tandem with the Guardians who are rebuilding this place.
Yeah, I'm sure when Volume 3 drops, this will all be forgotten.
Yeah. Well, it's probably going to set them up on Nowhere. And then now Cosmo is part of the Guardians, which is welcome because that was one of the highlighamhighlights for me of this.
Yeah, sure. Cosmo. I mean, and you do have the throwaway line as well that, explaining why Peter is sad because Gamora's gone.
Yeah.
Because the Gamora that survived at the end of Endgame is not the Gamora that he fell in love with.
Yeah. It's the Gamora from back in time previous to her meeting him. So, and then when she does, she's like, what? I was in love with you?
What? Really?
I'm out of here.
So we do get the reveal that Mantis is Peter's sister.
But we kind of knew that already, didn't we?
Well, I don't think it was officially. I mean, I think when we were introduced to her, when they went to Ego, I mean, it was teased that he has gone all across the universe trying to impregnate women to create offspring. So I'm sure Peter's got a ton of sisters and brothers out there somewhere.
Yeah.
But the one character I had a huge issue with, not only the first time, I'm literally watching this going, what am I looking at here? Is Groot. Who is now not only grown up, but no longer CG. This guy looks like he came right off the Disney parade float.
But he is CG, right? He looks like he's not.
It's a kind of costume.
No, it's not.
Oh,
it's
it
CG.
Looks bad. It's bad. And even Peter looked like some middle-aged dad cosplaying as Peter Quill. I'm like, there was something seriously
because he's a sad sack in this. That's the whole thing. He's a sad sack.
I don't know. Something was up with his hair. The Groot thing did not work for me at all. I could not take my eyes off this thing. I'm like, what is he doing here?
You do see Hollywood Boulevard in this, but it's like a guy dressed up in a padded Hulk suit or something on Hollywood Boulevard.
Yeah, because when he was an adult in the first movie, he's tall like a tree.
Yeah, now and he's regular height now.
Right. Yeah. So he's all grown up, but he's bulked out.
Yeah.
Like a guy in a suit. I don't know.
But he's not in it much. You only see him in bits and pieces here and there. And Rocket. Yeah, I think that the budget was pretty low.
Well,
for the
I think
CG
that's the thing. And I'm like, all right, I get if this is for the holiday special, this is what they did to Groot just to pass muster. But if you see the trailer for Volume 3, he looks like that in the trailer. So he's not. It's not like they're going back and replacing him with like this CG character.
Right.
For all we know, it's Vin Diesel in there.
Maybe he wanted to get some on-set time with this. He was sick of just being in a studio and voicing, I am Groot. I am Groot.
Yeah, how many ways can you possibly say that?
Right.
So the setup is that obviously Peter is sad. And so Drax and Mantis,
they want to cheer him up.
Yeah.
And what better way to give him the gift of the hero that Peter talks about incessantly? Kevin Bacon. Yeah.
The Baconator.
But for some reason, Peter has never really thoroughly explained that the exploits of Kevin Bacon take place in movies. So Drax and Mantis think that Kevin Bacon is an actual hero who has saved the galaxy, or at least Terra.
Yes, and taught a whole town how to dance.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. And I applaud Kevin Bacon for going all in on this.
Yeah, playing himself.
Although, do you really think Kevin Bacon's out there doing his own Christmas shopping?
I would think so.
You think so?
I think he's the kind of guy that would. I think, you might see him out there as long as you're shopping in Los Angeles or Beverly Hills or wherever.
Just don't. He probably has an entourage with him.
But at least we get the carry through right up front that they're all in on this special opening that we saw in Werewolf by Night.
Yeah, yep. We saw it again. Yeah.
Evocative again of those CBS holiday special openings, like dun 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 dun.
Yeah. And it gives you that little, that, okay, I'm going to watch something. I'm going to see something special.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. No, right up front. You're right.
Not only, was I loving that they used that special opening again, but the Marvel logo comes on with the Pogues' Fairy Tale of New York under it.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about this opening number because I did not recognize it.
You didn't recognize this? This is, well, it's not your, it isn't like your, Bruce Springsteen, Santa Claus is Coming to Town that dominates the airwaves, but I think it's gaining traction over the years. And it is an alternative Christmas kind of a song, and it's
well, listen, I don't need favorites. I don't need to hear Mariah Carey one more time. So far, what is this? We are only a week away from Christmas. I have yet to hear Mariah Carey on the radio. I am Mariah Carey getting free so far.
Oh, well, I don't think that you're going to be able to survive another week without.
I know.
It would be nice, but I don't know about that.
But the soundtrack, the songs in this are, again, you get the waitresses, which is fun. But again, it's an alternative song you don't necessarily hear all the time. You probably hear it a lot more now in the last couple of years. But this opening band that plays this song, James Gunn wrote this song. I Don't Know What Christmas is hysterical. Brilliant. Because again, they're trying to lighten the mood, and they know it's only a week away from Christmas, and Peter's all distraught. So.
Yeah. Before we even get the band, we get an opening. The special is bookended by animated segments of Peter's flashback to an early Christmas with the Ravagers. So Kraglin is telling the story how Yondu ruined Christmas for Peter, because Peter, when he was a kid, and this must have been shortly after he was abducted from Terra, telling Kraglin all about Christmas, and then Yondu interrupts. "This looks like sentiment to me, boy." And
Michael Rooker.
And kicks over the tree and destroys Peter's story about Christmas. So Kraglin is convinced that Peter has never experienced Christmas since he's been on Terra.
Right.
This is what sets off Drax and Mantis to give Peter something special.
Yeah, and here's one of the missed opportunities. It's a cute little cartoon. It's rotoscope, so it looks like they filmed it and then just drew over. But go full on Rankin Bass claymation. That to me would have just been like the icing on the cake. I'm like, see, now I'm completely invested. Because you're right. It's just it's bookended. So it's just a little beginning, here's what happened. Oh, I don't think you ever heard the end of the story by the end of it. But if they came out and they look like the Santa Claus and Snowman from Rudolph or whatever, I'd be like, all right.
So say if they actually went that whole hog and had Yondu come on screen, like dragging himself like the Burl Ives Snowman.
Right. That's why, Galactica 1980, we can't spend $1 million on an episode, so let's just put them on Earth. So they go to Earth to collect Kevin Bacon.
Anybody out there that has experienced the Disney ride, Guardians of the Galaxy, Cosmic Rewind at Epcot, this is painfully explained in the pre-show to the ride. Their hyperdrive. Glenn Close, as Nova Prime in the ride, explains that it would take Terrans 2 million years to get to Xandar. And so I assume that's around where Nowhere is.
Yeah, because they get there pretty quickly.
But so they have these hyper gates that they use as shortcuts to get to places like Terra. So that's what you see in this special, is that Mantis and Drax are taking these like pixelated shortcuts through time and space to get to Terra so quickly. And that's Xandarian technology. So they get there and they arrive in Hollywood because that's where they figure that Kevin Bacon is.
How would they know that?
Because how would Peter express that?
Right, you got to go
because they'd have to know that he was an actor in order to find Hollywood in the first place.
No, this is one of those, and they go right to Grauman's Chinese Theater.
But this is the thing: is that this special it's pretty much like Bing Crosby and
it's a road trip, Bob Hope
or Abbott and Costello. It's all Drax and Mantis.
And there's some fun sequences, even like when they first get there, and he's like, "Why is everyone looking at us as the ship is flying over?" She's like, "Drax, did you put on the force
cloaking device?"
Device? Yes, and
then he presses it. Yeah,
I just saw you press it. He's like, I wish I brought Groot. Yeah, they have nice chemistry together. That was fun. What's up with Drax beating up the GoBot, though?
I know. Well, that's another exciting thing because that also tells you that GoBots are canon in the MCU.
GoBots. I guess they couldn't get Transformer.
No, because they're on Hollywood Boulevard and they encounter all these characters. And why is there a guy even dressed as a GoBot on Hollywood Boulevard?
I don't know.
But Drax attacks him, and then Mantis explains that a GoBot killed his cousin. So that's
okay. GoBot's gone bad.
So they stop and they get drunk at some bar on Hollywood Boulevard, and then they spend all the money that they have earned taking pictures with tourists during the day. And
because people think that they're cosplaying.
Yeah, they're cosplayers.
What do they think they are, though?
The best cosplayers on the street, mind you.
But how do people even know who they are? They don't know who they are. They're like,
no. Well, maybe because of the Thanos battle. It was on the news.
Somebody had to take a picture.
Well, then Kevin Bacon didn't know who they were. He definitely didn't know who they were.
Yeah, well.
So anyway, they're on the street after they're drunk and they lose their money, and they're bemoaning the fact that they still don't know where Kevin Bacon lives. And then some vendor on the street who sells maps to the stars' homes.
Is that still a thing?
I would think so. Yeah.
I could just Google it. Can I just Google it now? I'll sell you this app.
They have no money, so they steal the map. And they do, other bad things as well as they're on.
They're stealing ornaments out of Kevin Bacon's yard.
Jeff, I don't care what you thought the first time you see this. When you saw what Kevin Bacon was watching on TV,
Santa Claus Conquers the Martians.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he was enjoying it thoroughly.
Straight, and he wasn't even watching it ironically. I've already watched my viewing for this Christmas season.
So Drax and Mantis from the map, they figure out where Kevin Bacon lives. They knock on his door legitimately, and he tells them to get lost.
Go away. Toss me over the fence. Yeah. And he just chucks her.
They invade his home. They steal his Christmas decorations, which is a nice running joke because Drax wants the funny little man, the elf.
Yes.
And they abduct Kevin Bacon with some help from Mantis, who convinces him that he's enjoying himself and wants to go with them. Because that's what she does. She's an empath. It really moves, this thing. It's not like it's...
Yeah, it's only like 44 minutes.
And it doesn't even seem like it's 44 minutes. It seems like it's a lot shorter than that.
Yeah.
So what's funny is as they're going on their way back to nowhere, they take Kevin Bacon, they put him in the spaceship, and they're on their way back. They realize on the trip that he's an actor, that he's not an actual hero.
They're disgusted by it.
Because they're asking him about his exploits. Like, oh, you taught a whole town to dance. You did this, you did that. Oh, yeah, that was a movie of mine, he says offhandedly. Right. And then, wait a second. You're an actor, and they start to, make retching sounds like,
we got Quill the worst gift ever. A disgusting actor.
And what's funny is that Kevin Bacon, I think this is my favorite line in the whole thing, goes, what you're saying would really piss me off normally, but I'm feeling really good about it.
Yeah, because Mantis has zapped him. We hate you.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Actors are repugnant.
I didn't mention this yet, that their spaceship has been named the Bowie. Did you catch that?
I did not pick up on that.
Yeah, that's the name of their spaceship.
Well, was the Milano destroyed?
I guess I don't remember.
I don't remember.
Once Kevin Bacon is back, they set up nowhere with, because they steal a store's worth of Christmas decorations that they bring back with them.
So some kid's going to wake up Christmas morning and all of his ornaments in his tree are gone.
Like, a la Grinch. So they do up nowhere completely Christmas time, complete with fake snowfall. And Peter comes out from wherever he is and he looks at everything in wonderment. So it's working, right? The plan is working.
Yeah, he's in awe.
And then, our Groot, because he is buffed, right? So he wheels in the human-sized box, the present, which contains Kevin Bacon. And the box opens and Peter's like, you got me a person, before he realizes who it is. And Drax is like, yeah, he's great. We don't hate him at all. Because he's convinced because he's an actor, Peter's going to hate his gift. Peter freaks out, as we knew that he would, that they've brought Kevin Bacon to him. And he demands that Mantis takes her spell off of him. And she does. He tries to escape, but there's nowhere for Kevin Bacon to run on nowhere.
Actually, that's one of my favorite lines from Nebula, where she's like, you can't outrun me, Bacon. And right at that scene, they cut to a gentleman in the back, burly beard, swigging down some alcohol looking, and the internet went nuts thinking that this is Mark Hamill, but it is not.
It was not. It was not.
It is not. It's been confirmed that it is not Mark Hamill.
But we also get confirmation that DC characters are canon, at least as fictionalized characters in the MCU, because Batman and Bruce Wayne are mentioned.
Yeah. Well, you also go back to Spider-Man movies. At one point, Aunt May even says to him, "You're not Superman, you know."
Yes.
So it's they've been there.
So we get another song. So this band that are made up to look like aliens are the Old 97s, an actual band, and this is their song that they play at the end with Kevin Bacon, although he takes over the vocal duties here. Now, and we didn't talk about this before, when they sing that James Gunn penned song at the beginning.
Yep.
There's a line about creepy elves, and the camera goes to an elf in the crowd, but the elves from Dark World, Thor, like it's species of elves, the line about creepy elves, and she gives like a dubious look, and
like, listen to the lyrics on that song because it is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Talk about Santa being a furry freak. And
long story short, Kevin Bacon gets into the spirit of why he's actually there. And he delivers this song with the Old 97s to give Peter a bit of Christmas cheer. And he actually has cell service on Nowhere.
Yeah, apparently.
He calls up his wife, Kira Sedgwick. He said, "Yeah, is it all right if I don't come home? If I don't come home right away, I got to teach somebody about Christmas." Like, as if this is like an everyday occurrence.
Yeah,
so
but
that's what he does.
Well, what's up with Nebula giving Rocket Winter Soldier's arm?
There's a lot of talk online about how she got that arm. Everybody is seeming to think that she got it in Wakanda because they gave him a new arm in Wakanda. So maybe this is his old arm.
I think they probably made more than one.
Yeah.
I don't know. What if he lost his other one? You got to make two.
Yeah.
Regardless. Yeah. He got Bucky's arm and Groot got a Game Boy. Old school Game Boy.
Old school. And he was very happy to get that too.
Yeah.
Yep. So it all ends nicely
with
a nice injection of the Christmas spirit. There's a post-credit scene where they're trying to hang ornaments on Groot and it doesn't work.
Yeah. And like you said, it does cut back to the Kraglin flashback where you realize that Yondu really
didn't ruin Christmas.
Yeah. He appreciated
this guy had a heart of gold the whole time. Yondu.
We all knew he did. That's why we miss Yondu.
Yeah.
So I will say for 44 minutes, that credit list is insanely long. It's got to be 12 minutes long right there. That's why it's so short. It's probably only a half an hour special.
The scene at the end where they're trying to decorate Groot doesn't come mid credits. You have to wait till all the credits are done. And that's why, it seems longer because you have to sit through all of them.
Well, but they're just, a ton of names.
It was enjoyable. There's a few laugh out loud moments that the Guardians always can provide in everything that they've done so far. So I liked it. I could envision this being an annual watch.
Oh, absolutely.
Around Christmas time.
Yeah, like I said, I rewatching it the second time, I was a little more on board. So
yeah. And they don't really tie it too much into like the outside MCU. It really is its own contained story.
Right.
So it's not like if you watch it next year, you're going to be, now I have to watch volume 2 and 3 in order to get into what's going on here. No, that's not the case at all.
Yeah.
So if I would give it 3.5 buckets out of 5.
I'll go 3.5.
3.5?
Yeah, that's fine. Sure.
That's fine. Sure. That's fine. Come on. You give me concession buckets. Come on.
You know what? The Groot thing for me just really, I don't know. With all those people involved, someone could have made me a nicer Groot.
Oh.
That's all I'm saying. That's a guy in a suit. You can't convince me otherwise.
You'll see him on Hollywood Boulevard, in no time.
Yes, yeah. He's right now. He's underneath the Magic Kingdom castle, waving.
Well, I thought this was pretty interesting that they filmed this concurrently with Volume 3. So it's not.
Yeah, you got everyone in character. Yeah. You got everyone. The amount of work it takes to make Drax look the way he is, and even Nebula. All right, we're all together. Let's just do this. We'll film it on the side.
The second from the last time that we'll see James Gunn helming an MCU property.
That is true.
Unless things go horribly wrong with his DCU. And he comes back cap in hand. Please, Marvel, please let me in.
Come back in 5 years. Let's say we'll revisit this.
Yeah.
So
all right, let's move on from Nowhere to the Playhouse.
Oh, we're going Pee-wee's Playhouse.
That's terrible. That's terrible. You're much better.
I know what you were, but what am I?
Pee-wee Herman.
Pee-wee's Playhouse. Now, this was must watch. I'm talking about the actual Saturday morning show.
Well, let's talk about this then.
Yes.
So let's actually talk about Pee-wee Herman before we talk about the show specifically. Yes. I was one of those lucky kids that had HBO. My parents actually took the plunge and subscribed to HBO. So those of a certain age that can remember the early 80s and that were in their childhoods in the early 80s may remember something called the Pee-wee Herman special, which was an hour-long on-stage show that Paul Rubens and his friends used to do, around this character. But it was a decidedly adult character.
It was much more adult.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was still like that, it was like a spoof of a kid's host kind of a thing.
Right, which is weird.
Adult humor.
Where he ends up. But yeah, you're right. I mean, Phil Hartman was, what was his name? Carl? Captain Carl. Captain Carl.
Captain Carl. Yep.
And yeah, like Miss Yvonne, like she was part of that show. So a lot of these characters.
Jambi, of course. That's the first time I ever heard Mekka-lekka-hi, Mekka-hi-ho, which in itself is very questionable as something for a kid to say.
Or in this Christmas, Mekka-lekka-hi, Mekka-ho-ho-ho.
Yes, yes. They ran that special constantly on HBO.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like only run at night. They ran it during the day. And a lot of those jokes, went right over my head as a 10-year-old, 11-year-old, or whatever I was. Yeah. But I knew exactly who Pee-wee was by the time Pee-wee's Big Adventure came out because of that special. So that had, if you were a certain age at that time, that had a built-in audience already for those HBO kids. And then a year later, after the big movie from Tim Burton in 1985, we get Pee-wee's Playhouse, an actual Saturday morning kid show on CBS.
Yeah, ran until 90. CBS. He not only acted, but he produced and directed a lot of this stuff. He was very hands-on. And again, these were my college years. So Pee-wee on Saturday was a must watch. And whatever the word of the day was, you're going to scream. You're going to yell.
You see, now sounds extremely weird to say, but I wasn't old enough to appreciate it, ironically, straight, or what have you, because when the show premiered, it was a year after the movie. And I saw the movie in theaters and I really liked it.
Yeah.
And I was expecting more of that Tim Burton flavor in the show. I was 15 when the show premiered. So when I watched that premiere episode on CBS Saturday morning, I was disappointed. It was a kid's show. I couldn't, kid show. Because of the age I was kind of too cool
not
for
watching this
at that time. Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I never watched it again after that first episode.
Oh, no.
And then when I had a son and looking for things from my past to watch. I'm like, well, maybe he'll like Pee-wee. We rented the entire series from the library.
Yeah.
And he loved it. And I watched it all through with him and I loved it. So I really am late to the Pee-wee's Playhouse bandwagon.
Which is wild because you were exposed to that special early on. I think it was after the fact that I came across that, after Pee-wee's Big Adventure, which I also saw in the theater. I went with my friends. We all went. So, this is goofy. Either you're in on Pee-wee or you're not.
And some of the things like that they were able to get away with on this show, I saw, in a short period of time, every episode of Pee-wee's Playhouse. Just the fact every time Miss Yvonne came on, it's such a sexualized character.
Yeah.
And even in this special, she comes into the playhouse. She's got mistletoe in her wig, so she's kissing everybody. And then Flory, the character that's on the floor, says to her, "Miss Yvonne, come stand over me."
Yeah. Okay, Chew. Flory.
And it opens with this Marines men's choir. And then if you looked into this, it's not
They're
even
not the Marines
choir.
Isn't it a crime to impersonate an officer?
I know. So it's like the UCLA or
men's choir.
Whatever, men's choir that dress up because they couldn't get the actual Marines choir.
Yeah.
That was par for the course for this as well. There was often shirtless men, doing construction around the Playhouse for Pee-wee.
Yeah, there was some questionable things going on. But you just kind of took it for what it was. Cowboy Curtis.
Curtis.
Lawrence Fishburne.
during this Playhouse run between 86 and 90, as you said, he was already establishing himself, as an actor. He wasn't the name that he would become, but he was in other things, but he was sticking with the Playhouse as well. It was probably a really fun job.
Yeah, sure. You show up once a week, you walk in, you walk out.
And you have all these other characters like Terry, the pterodactyl, Globy, very literal named characters.
Right, Jerry,
Clocky,
Mr. Window,
Mr.
Penny,
Window,
Penny,
the magic screen. Oh, Penny with the penny eyes. Yeah, the claymation Penny.
King of cartoons might be the even like the dinosaur family. Well, you said Jambi. Jambi is always a good go-to.
Yeah.
Conky. Yeah, it's.
My favorite was the King of Cartoons. I love his delivery. Let the cartoons begin.
Yeah, and it was always some like a throwaway cartoon that you haven't seen from like since 1938,
like pre-ratings code from 1920 or whatever.
Betty Boop showing up or something. It makes me laugh because we're gonna get into the plethora of guest stars, and even in 1988, the viewing audience wouldn't even know who half of these stars are. My kid knows who Dinah Shore is.
Yeah, but it was like me watching Hollywood Squares or somebody. I don't know who Paul Lynde. All I know him from is Hollywood Squares. That's what he's famous for me.
He was Uncle Arthur on Bewitched.
Yeah, no, wow. I didn't put that together.
Really?
Yeah.
Like I can't separate the two. I don't know.
Or Charles Nelson Riley. I didn't know him from Madam. I knew he was on the Gong Show all the time.
What? He was on Lidsville.
They didn't do reruns of Lidsville that much back in the day. I think it was too creepy.
Oh, yeah. Some of that Sid and Marty Krofft.
I don't remember seeing Lidsville until I was an adult when it was on VH1.
That is one you seriously need to be altered.
But that was Butch Patrick, wasn't it? Or was that somebody else?
That's a good question. Was it Butch Patrick? Well, we're jumping all over the place because that's our next step. That's our next show. Right. But yeah, you mentioned Joan Rivers. 2 seconds she shows up on here on Hollywood Squares on the TV.
Yep. It's as if, and I think this is the case, that all these stars, I don't know if they asked them last minute, but like Cher filmed her whole thing. Like she arrived on set and was gone within 25 minutes.
25 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Cher, that was what? When was Moonstruck? So, I mean, she was an Academy Award nominated actress popping in on here. And I do like it because she shows up after she leaves. He's like, that was Cher. Cher was right there in the same chair. Same room as my chair. And then you got other ones, Whoopi Goldberg.
Yeah. Tellingly, though, again, probably they only had time to phone it in, literally, because you had Whoopi on the phone, you had Oprah on the phone, you had Dinah
But that's
Shore.
What's so fun about it is that he almost like just misses half of them. Here's the bigger, and that Funicello in the Frankie Avalon, no kid knows who they were. I never watched the Mickey Mouse Club when I was, remember Back to the Beach? That was a whole big spoof on their movies. And I think that was 84.
Speaking of those two, Annette Funicello and Frankie Avalon, he either has the best hairline ever
or the best wig.
I couldn't really tell myself.
Katie Lang. Ingenue didn't even come out until 92. This was 88.
He was really prescient on this. He was,
Grace Jones. That had to have been around the same time as View to a Kill. Well, she was also in Conan the Destroyer.
Yeah, that was 85. Both of those movies. So this was
okay. All right.
That was a few years previous. Yeah,
because she shows up and she's something else. She belongs right in that Playhouse.
Yeah, she does. Yeah,
she sings a song.
The Playhouse itself is just, that set is fantastic. Now, when my son was into it when he was younger, obviously they didn't make toys for it anymore at that point. So I had to go on eBay.
No, they're super hard to come by.
Yeah. So I was able to get like a handful of the action figures, but they actually had a play set that was big enough to fit the action figures in. And it was one of those, remember that Star Trek play set that you could push the button and the transporter would spin around?
Absolutely. Yep.
And the whole, like the walls were made of vinyl and I think it maybe
it was like a carry case. Yeah.
That's what the Playhouse toy was. That it had a carry case, and then you could open it up, and it had that round couch in the middle, and it had Cherry, and it had
highly sought after.
Yeah. Those were very expensive on eBay, so I never even attempted. I just got a few action figures.
Magic Johnson even shows up.
Yeah, and he had like a game that night, so he had only like a half an hour to film his thing.
Little Richard.
Yeah. Yep.
There's some wacky crap going on here. It's Charo, Charo, I don't think she ever ages. This woman, she's looked the same since 1972.
Mm-hmm.
Coochie coochie.
Yeah, and of course, most of the guest stars that show up for more than 2 minutes on screen sing their own versions of Christmas songs. Grace Jones sings "Little Drummer Boy." Charo sings "Feliz Navidad." Feliz Navidad, blah blah blah.
And at one point, he goes outside to make snow angels, and he's like, "If you don't have snow at home, just use 20 pounds of coconut shavings."
And it's Cher that gets the secret word for the episode from Conky. Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard for just two of us to be screaming. I don't know if you saw this, but this special aired on December 21st, 1988, the same night that the Lockerbie Pan Am flight bombing. So I also read that Cyndi Lauper admitted that she sings the opening song.
Yes, although that's like kind of an open secret because I have somewhere a CD of TV theme songs, and it's credited the Pee-wee's Playhouse theme to Cyndi Lauper on the CD. Yeah.
Okay. Because I think it's someone else gets credit in the actual show itself. I also saw the production assistant was none other than Rob Zombie.
Really? Is his name Rob Zombie in the credits?
In the credits. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, he committed even back then.
Maybe that's where he got his.
Maybe that's his real surname. Who knows?
I don't know. So listen, I need a name. Zombie it is. Okay.
Not only does it have multiple guest stars, but all the segments that you were used to from Pee-wee's Playhouse are present here. Like we were saying, the Penny cartoon, Magic Screen. So all these little segments are still there.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite joke in the whole thing is when Dinah Shore calls. Now, as a 70s kid, I knew probably better than anybody else that's on the show as a guest star who Dinah Shore was, because you couldn't get away from in the 70s from the Dinah Shore show. But she sings the 12 Days of Christmas.
And he leaves her.
And Pee-wee slinks down because he's like one of the earliest users of Zoom, apparently.
Yes. That's right. He had the video screen. So he slinks down and puts up a Pee-wee dummy as Dinah continues to sing. I think it becomes the 100 Days of Christmas by the end of the episode, and she's still singing after she's just still singing. Yeah. Well, go back to the Jetsons, because when Jane used to get a phone call in the morning and she had her hair in curlers, she would put a fake face in front of her before the video. Yep. So some of these Saturday morning cartoons were way ahead of the curve.
Yeah,
some of this stuff.
Now, does Charo sing? Does she sing "From the Bottle of My Heart"? Because that's what I heard.
It would make more sense, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think she owns a pair of pants, though. Cherry, Charo, Cherry, which is a great Oprah Uma reference to David Letterman.
That hadn't happened yet.
Oh, crap, really?
Oprah Uma. Yeah, so maybe Letterman got it from Pee-wee.
Pee-wee's head.
Yeah.
It was only a couple years after this that his trouble started. So.
Yes, it was early 90s, the dark days for Pee-wee, after the show went off the air.
Yeah.
The whole running joke is that every guest is bringing Pee-wee a fruitcake as his gift. And at the end, of course, you get your obligatory shirtless workmen who are building a new wing to the Playhouse using all the fruitcakes that he's gotten.
There's a subtle reference in there, fruitcake. Topless man. I don't know. It's fun. Pee-wee's Playhouse. I do own the box set with the season 1 and 2.
Speaking of the seasons and how they broke out, season 3 only had 2 episodes plus the Christmas special. And the other seasons had, I think, about 10 each. And the reason being is that first, the writer's strike was happening at that time, and that they were filming Big Top Pee-wee. So they didn't have enough time to do episodes of the TV show.
They should have just scrapped that and made more episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Big Top Pee-wee. They lost their way with that one.
That was a big disappointment for me, Big Top Pee-wee.
No, because especially after Pee-wee's Big Adventure and then this, I'm completely on board. And then Netflix, a couple years ago, they did Pee-wee's Holiday.
Yes, which I've never seen.
Yeah, it's worth checking out.
Is it really?
Yeah. They were doing a screening of Pee-wee's Big Adventure on Long Island, and this was quite a few years ago, but he was going to be there, and I really wanted to go, and it just didn't happen. But yeah, I mean, he's rebounded, after all the the issues. I think he's learned to
Yeah,
make jokes about it. He showed up at the MTV Video Awards and heard any good jokes lately?
The public has forgiven him.
There's so many more things out there bad things that people are doing.
Yeah.
But then again, just stay home, dude. I mean, now you can just get porn on your phone. So there's really no reason to go to a theater.
No, those were different times then. He had to go to the theater back then.
Yeah, 91.
Yeah.
91. Sarasota, Florida. So I guess, good times.
So, yeah, as you said, this was broadcast December 21st in prime time. So it did not show on Saturday morning. It was an actual primetime special.
It's not that easy to find. I mean, I was able to find, there's clips of the different segments on YouTube, but the whole episode is not on there.
Yeah. And thankfully, my library had it. So I was able to take it out of the library.
My library had it. I just didn't get it in time. I do own this. Unfortunately, as I mentioned off air, I loaned it to my sister so that she could share the show with my nephews and my niece.
Did they appreciate it?
I don't even know if they've watched it yet. But yeah, when I realized what we were talking about, and I'm like tearing through my discs, I'm like, it's not here. And I'm like, oh no. So I text my sister, sure enough, yeah, we have it. I'm like, oh, can you put it on and just leave your phone there so I can watch it?
Now, the other tweak is the opening and closing credits.
Yes,
we
get a completely different opening.
Yeah, like a winter scene for the Playhouse. Now, this is another thing I loved about the show are all the claymation segments. That
the dinosaurs. Yeah, the dinosaur
the food in the refrigerator.
Yep. Yeah, when you talk about Chicky Baby and the little jazz band, those are like puppets. But
right.
Yeah, it's taken all those, kitty romper room tropes. It's not even like a new spin because it really is a kid show. It's not. Yeah. They're not doing it ironically. It's just Pee Wee Herman. So.
Yeah. So you get the twist on the closing credits because normally the show would end with Pee Wee like bursting out of the Playhouse on a scooter, and then you see him barreling down the highway. In this show, he gets on Santa's sleigh and he helps Santa deliver all his presents because Pee Wee's Christmas list was so big that Santa wasn't able to give presents to any other kid in the world. So
nice going, Pee Wee.
Yep. So the Christmas spirit comes over him. He says, "Give all my gifts away," and that's what he does. He helps Santa at the end.
Good thing that wasn't David Harbour. He probably would have shanked him.
He would have egregiously shanked him.
Left him in a pool of his own blood. Yep. Right in the middle of the Playhouse.
Yeah. Complete with a Viking flashback.
There you go. What happened, Pee Wee?
So post credits, and I love this so much. Accommodations provided by the Los Angeles Registry Hotel, as if it was a game show.
Right. And who is actually like, well, I'm going to be on Pee Wee next week, and they're holding me up at the Registry Hotel over here across the street. Fine accommodations.
Is Pee Wee bucket proof, or should we give buckets to the Pee Wee Christmas special?
I didn't write buckets for any of this stuff.
Yeah.
I think it's bucket proof.
Yeah, I think you're right.
It is because you're either in or you're not on Pee Wee.
But you know what we're not going to spare you this week is our weekly, and this is a new feature, discussion about concession stand snacks. Yes, we happen to luck out. We got ourselves a theater that is showing not only the Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special, the Regal. Yeah, it's a Fathom event. Guardians of the Galaxy, Pee Wee's Christmas special, and they're actually theatrically showing the Monkees Christmas Show. So we're going to go to the concession stand right now. Come with us. Come. Walk with us out the door to the concession stand, and we are talking this week. Now, can you hear this?
I see them flying out.
Sno-Caps are flying.
No, it's snowing over there.
It's snowing in here. We're talking Sno-Caps. Now, this has always been one of my, if not my favorite, concession stand snack, the Sno-Cap. Now, this is a controversial choice. I have seen such hate online towards Sno-Caps in my research this week.
It's just chocolate disc with little
and that's why people hate it. They don't believe it should get the recognition that it has been getting, over the years. I think the one quote that stands out is that it's like eating sand and mud mixed together.
Wow. So someone actually took the time to eat sand and mud and said, yep, that's a Sno-Cap right there.
Yes. So I've never really questioned Sno-Caps. They've always just been there, but this feature allows us to hold up the people in line behind us at the concession stand while we discuss within full audio range of the manager.
That little kid behind us is going, you got the last box of Sno-Caps.
Can you get on with it and make your selection, please?
Sorry, okay. Sno-Caps, right on the box, they are described as semi-sweet chocolate nonpareils. And I actually went online to figure out how I pronounce this word. It is nonpareil.
A nonpareil, is like you can go to a candy confectionery store and just buy a nonpareil.
Yeah, so it's not like that Sno-Caps has cornered the market on nonpareils. You can get
somebody
these.
just took them and renamed them.
Exactly. So I never questioned what that meant, what that word meant. It's a French word. It means no equal. So right there, Sno-Caps are announcing to the world that there is no equal. Now,
apparently sand and mud.
Yeah.
Isn't.
So the history of Sno-Caps, if you listen to last week's episode, we covered Raisinets last week.
Yes, we did.
The history of Sno-Caps really kind of runs parallel in a lot of ways to Raisinets. Conceived by the Blumenthal brothers in Pennsylvania in 1922. Same people.
These guys have been around. Until we started this segment, I never even heard of them.
Exactly. We have them to thank for so much.
Drops.
The original nonpareils, I don't know if there's a plural and a singular or whatever. The original nonpareils was actually a single disc that was 2.5 inches in diameter. So it was a large Sno-Cap.
Oh, that's way too big. That's way too big.
They called it the Bob White. That was its name in 1922. Bob Evans, Stu Leonard, meet Bob White. I don't know who this is. They realized pretty quickly during that same decade that wasn't going to work because people increasingly wanted more mobile snacks like Raisinets, right? The Sno-Caps were born in 1927. In the beginning, they didn't have those little white sprinkles on them. They were actually just bunches of sugar, like sugar clusters. But eventually they became the little white sprinkles that we know of as Sno-Caps. And of course, caps because they look like little snowy covered mountain peaks. And like Raisinets, again, it was just simply a matter of convenience. That this was one of the few snacks that was packaged in a little narrow box that could easily be taken from the counter to your movie seat. So this is why, really, it became a popular movie snack. Again, mirroring the Raisinette story, Nestle acquired the brand in the mid-'80s and sold it to the Ferrara company, just like Raisinette. So if you look at the box of Sno-Caps, it says the copyright is the Ferraro Group, 2022. So they are cornering the market here on a lot of these concession stand snacks, the Ferraro Group.
Again, never heard of them.
Exactly. They bought the brand in 2018 from Nestle. So Nestle let this go just like they did Raisinets.
I think Nestle had a monopoly they had to break up. It's like Ma Bell.
So now you mentioned, and I was going right along with you last week, that they had two varieties of Sno-Caps. One that was the regular kind and one that was dark chocolate. That's not the case.
What?
There's only one kind of Sno-Caps. And I think because it's semi-sweet, it kind of gives the impression that it's dark chocolate, but it's not. It's not. The guy that says that they taste like sand and mud, he has a valid point consistency-wise. Consistency, not taste. Because I think that the taste, this is like eating chocolate chips right out of a bag from a grocery store.
I want one now.
It's a very specific consistency. So maybe just take a listen. I'm going to eat them right now.
You're going to masticate on the... Nobody likes that, Jim. Nobody likes that.
It's crunchy. It's crunchy.
So I'm going to tell you right now, maybe I'm a mutant, but what I used to do, because the little snow dots are only on one side.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm not just chewing this. I'm going to turn it upside down. And with my tongue, I am going to lick all the dots off so I have nothing left but chocolate. And then I'm going to eat the chocolate. When was the last time you actually had Sno-Caps? It's been years, but I'm watching you right now. I'm like, now I want one.
You do get the normal candy shake sound that you get with a Raisinets box. But there's an extra shake because of those little...
all the ones that fell off.
The white balls that fell out. There's like a little shake and a big shake sound at the same time. So
once you're done with the box, now you have to eat all that leftover.
I know, leftover. So This is unfortunately a very messy snack. So unless you shovel the box directly into your mouth.
Yes, that is exactly.
If you try to get it in your hand, those little white balls are everywhere.
And you're just licking your hand now.
This is like top 3 for me. Concession stand snacks, Sno-Caps.
Damn you. Now I'm going to get some Sno-Caps next time.
So I would like to stand right on the counter right now of the concession stand.
You're going to break out in a song?
Like John Cusack with the boombox, but with a case of Sno-Caps above my head.
Excuse me, sir, you have to get down from there. I'm going to tell my manager.
So...
All right.
There you go, Sno-Caps. Let's buy our boxes for, $8 a box and go back to our seats now.
The Ferrara company can send a check, courtesy care of Jim's.
I really have a feeling that we're not going to hear the end of the Ferrara company with this episode. Yeah,
sounds like they fleeced Nestle. What's going on?
They must have something on Nestle that they're buying all their brands up.
They know something we don't.
I think so.
Chocolate market's gonna crash.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
All right. So let's go back to our seats now and let us.
Oh boy, you're gonna need some sugar for this one.
I think that it already gives you sugar. The Monkees. We haven't talked about the Monkees since Head.
I have not seen an episode of the Monkees. Yes, we watched Head. But that's a different animal. This is the weekly show that came out in the 60s. This is so manic. I forgot just how frenetic this show was.
Yeah.
And I'll say this, those Pokemon episodes where people are crying that they're having epileptic seizures, it has nothing on this. This is crazy.
And this particular episode, I think, is subtle compared to some of the other Monkees episodes.
Yeah, I will say that the 60s were crazy. This actually, the date is 12/25/1967.
So this was originally broadcast on Christmas Day night. So this is crazy in itself because generally the networks kind of stay away from putting
clear of those. Yeah, it's family time.
Normally you would see your Christmas episodes of sitcoms like 2 weeks before Christmas.
Yes.
But this was broadcast on Christmas night.
It was must-see TV.
Yeah. And because, unfortunately, the Monkees' second season was also its final season, it was never rerun because you can't really rerun a Christmas episode during the summer. So it wasn't rerun until the Monkees show appeared on Saturday mornings because in 1969, they took the series and put it on Saturday morning.
Which is where
Playhouse.
We all watched it because I was 2.5 months old when this dropped.
I wasn't even born yet when this dropped.
Yeah, no. Monkees and Scooby-Doo were pretty big back in the day as a little tiny kid.
They were always syndicated in the 70s on some channel or other that we got in the New York area. So I'd often see them either on a day that I was sick home from school or after school or what have you. So they were always there.
Yeah. And that's amazing that you say it's only 2 seasons.
Yeah. Yeah.
Obviously they're an answer to the Beatlemania that was going on at the time.
2 seasons back then, like a season of television would be like 26 episodes.
Right.
So you got
24 was standard. Yeah.
Yeah. So you got 50 episodes of this thing, but
right.
You think that's crazy that there was only 50 episodes that would just get repeated. When we talked about Puff and stuff, they only made 18 episodes of that.
Crazy. That is nuts. Yeah, that is insane.
But the Monkees show was about this fictional group, also called the Monkees, that were an out-of-work band that somehow lived in this open and huge beach house. And they were always looking for work. And most of the episodes of the show had them trying to earn money in some non-musical fashion. Like they had to get a job on a barn or they do this, they do that. And in this one, they think that they're hired to play some rich person's Christmas party. And it turns out that it's a babysitting gig, that this rich aunt is going on a trip and she needs the Monkees to babysit her.
Mrs. Vandersnoot.
Yep.
That's great right there. Mrs. Vandersnoot.
And the kid in question, his name is Melvin, and he is played by Butch Patrick, Eddie Munster himself. I think there's not too much time, I don't think, in between the Munsters and the Monkees TV show. But you'd think that there's more because the Munsters is in black and white and the Monkees is not.
And he's all in makeup, too. So he...
Yeah, but Butch Patrick, I'm looking this up now. He was 14 years old when he filmed.
Was he
the Monkees.
really?
Yeah,
I would have guessed younger.
This says he was on Lidsville, so that is the kid from Lidsville.
Okay,
as well.
All right, there you go.
Yeah, which was 4 years later, after this Monkees episode.
Okay,
Melvin is not a normal kid. He doesn't have any friends. He has no emotion. He's just like a living computer.
Yeah, he is Sheldon before Big Bang Theory was even a thought.
So the Monkees have a difficult time with Sheldon. They take it upon themselves. With Melvin. They take it upon themselves to teach him about the Christmas spirit.
Well, I will say this kid plays it straight through the whole thing because these four guys are so bouncing off each other. Yep. I can't imagine being this kid playing this straight-laced role. And he's got his glasses, he's just prim and proper in the suit. But Mrs. Vandersnoot gives him $100 each, which is, I'm guessing that's a lot of money back then. Right.
The second season of the Monkees, there's a marked difference between season 1 and season 2, where season 1, they all have the same suits on, a la the Beatles. And, Mike's got his wool cap. Season 2, they kind of throw that out the window. They're wearing beads and
Nairobi,
and
tablecloths. Especially Peter's got the boots and he's full on.
So season 2 is very freeform. I think it was Mike that said on one of the commentaries, because I've got the box set, we're watching season 2 episodes, and he says, you could tell we just didn't care anymore in season 2. It's like, I think the season 1 episodes are done much better because we were much more serious and we wanted to do it right. Because we didn't know what we were doing. Season 2, suddenly we're famous and we can't be bothered with the show anymore.
They're not, like you mentioned the fact that, the running joke is that they're always out of work as musicians. And yet we always get a musical number. Usually it's some chase scene or whatever, a la Scooby-Doo again, where they're running from room to room or some crazy antics.
Right.
But their album, did they cut the album first and then make the TV show, or was it all?
No, it was all at the, done simultaneously with.
This is very much a studio produced entity. Again, like I said, taking full advantage of Beatlemania going on at the time, and these guys weren't even playing their own instruments, right?
Well, that's a big misconception. Initially, the first 2
Well, that's
albums,
what we're here for. We're here to set the record straight.
The first 2 albums, when they were pretty much being told what to do, just had their vocals on them.
Okay.
And didn't have them playing anything. And Mike and Peter, especially, who were the actual musicians in the group before, they all could play some kind of an instrument, but Mike and Peter actually had careers.
Do you consider the tambourine an instrument?
I do. That's percussion. That's percussion. So they insisted that once they became famous and they had a bit more clout, and this was still during the first season, they insisted that they make the music from that point on.
Well, otherwise they're just Milli Vanilli.
Yeah. And they actually had a fight with their musical director, whose name was Don Kirshner, who was the overseer.
A very famous name, by the way.
Yeah. He was the overseer of all their music. And he assembled and got together the backing musicians for the first 2 albums. And he balked. They wanted to work with him, but they just wanted to do their own stuff. He balked. Or they threatened that they would walk. It's either him or us.
That's some clout right there.
Yeah. So so they got their way and they made an album called Headquarters, which was all them. And then the albums that came out after that were like a mixture of them and studio musicians, but under their direction. So so they got more and more control. So by the time the Christmas show was done, they were completely in control of their musical output.
Yeah, and for anybody that just completely dismisses these guys as jokes, all you got to do is watch that last song, Ryu Chiu, and realize the creative chops that these guys do.
Yeah,
have.
And I don't think that a lot of people these days have a prejudice against them. I don't think so. Yeah, from that era that
Well, I mean, how many times have you seen them live?
Collectively and as individual, I've seen Davey on his own. I've seen Peter on his own. I've seen Mickey on his own, and I've seen them together in various forms. I think 6 times altogether.
Okay, all right. I will tell you, I've never seen them. My Aunt Debbie was. When I was really little, she was really into them. And I do remember they saw them probably more than once, but I can't be for sure. But when my wife took me to Disney and we were in Epcot, there is an outdoor amphitheater.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
At the American Adventure Pavilion.
Yeah. As we approach that, Paul Revere and the Raiders were there playing, and I'm losing my mind. But the Monkees were there the week before.
Oh.
And I was like, I'd still be there. I'd still be there.
Yeah. To see them live, it's like all of them, actually, even Peter, who is like the most musician-y of them all. That maybe that's an arguable statement if you factor in Mike Nesmith. But they're all consummate entertainers. It wasn't just like going to see a show and them playing their songs. It was even their solo things. It was like Davey, especially. That was like seeing like a stand-up routine because he was doing jokes in between each song. It was hilarious.
But unlike the Beatles, these guys have personalities. You see them every week on a TV show. Yeah, they're not just going to come out and play songs. And he was on, and listen, Davy Jones was on Brady Bunch. So
yes, he was. Yeah. Yes, he was. So they get this job, this gig to babysit Melvin. And so for the whole episode, they try to show him the Christmas spirit. At one point, they bring him to a store to buy him some presents. And, in true Monkees fashion, they end up trashing the toy store, the department store, or whatever it is. And they have to pay most of the money that they've earned for the damages.
This is a running joke, is that every time they turn around, one of them's getting hurt or they're breaking something, and it's just the money just goes right back out of their hands.
And this is also interesting about the second season. They chose at some point during the second season to drop the laugh track. This episode.
That's interesting that you bring that up. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, it doesn't have a laugh track.
No laugh track, yeah.
So, they wanted the jokes to stand on their own rather than, have a laugh track helping the audience laugh along with it.
I laughed a couple times, so I helped out.
Yeah.
You don't need to prompt me.
Head notwithstanding, and they bring some of their personalities from the show into that movie Head, but the show really builds on their individual personalities. And they're all somewhat based on their real personalities, except for Peter, who has to play the dummy.
Right. Davey takes numerous swipes at himself for being short. There's always a short.
Yeah, he always did. That was always on a part of the show.
Yeah. Like he was joking that, Butch Patrick was as tall as he was.
Yeah. He's like, give me a crack at him. I'm almost as big as he is. Or he says, Yeah.
There was a great line in there at one point. He goes, very funny. You must be in the movies, or even worse, television.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah.
But there's a scene midway through where it's just an extended fantasy sequence.
This is over the top.
And it goes on for like 5 minutes. And this is normally where during a normal Monkee show, they would play their latest single, right? And it would be like the romp. But because it's the Christmas show, it's just like, Christmas music going on in the background as the kid walks out from the Monkees pad. He's had enough of their shenanigans. And he says, I'm going back home. Enough of you guys. And they let him go because Mike is just like, and Mike always is the one that has to read the serious dialogue. I notice in every show when there's a serious line to be said, it's always Mike over the thoughtful music in the background. We'll let him go, guys. There's nothing else we can do.
Yeah, right. If he wants to believe, he'll believe. If he doesn't, oh well.
So he goes back home, and as he's sitting there alone, he realizes that he misses the Monkees, and he has this fantasy sequence where they're back in the store, and he's having a good time this time with them instead of being a grump.
Yeah, he's like the Grinch as his heart grew 3 times the size that day.
Exactly.
Yeah, he does fantasize about throwing his glasses a lot as well. Which
yes, he does.
Funny.
Yep, or throwing his tie and then unbuttoning his shirt, and Peter puts the love beads around his neck.
Yeah. And again, you brought up Miss Yvonne and Pee-wee, this buxom lady that just shows up in the store and starts dancing with this other guy. And yeah, the bosoms are right out there.
The bullet bras, I think, were a main part of the Monkees' wardrobes. All the women look like that, especially when Julie Newmar guested. Forget about it. But at the end of this sequence, the Monkees haven't given up, you see. And Mickey is dressed as Santa and Davy as the elf. And again, there's a little short joke from Davy as they come down the chimney.
Oh, right. He's all dirty and Davy's not.
You always make fun of me because I'm little. I just went down the sides and I didn't touch anything. Yep. And then they sing Deck the Halls, and the line about gay apparel, if you notice, they do a little pose when they sing.
Yeah, a little throwaway there.
I'm wondering how many people actually caught that during its initial airing. But yep, happy ending at the end. And as you said, after the story's done, and the aunt comes back because that's what the Monkees decided that Melvin needed was love, and that they
someone
call
to
his,
actually care about him.
Yeah, they call his aunt back from wherever she was, and that's his Christmas.
I think she was just in the other room.
Yeah, probably. Yeah,
she still had the same jacket on and everything.
Now we get the live performance, the a cappella performance of Ryuichi. It's fantastic. The way that they do harmonies together is tremendous. And yeah, I completely agree. They're not even playing any instruments. It's just you can tell that they have a musical sense just by looking at this a cappella performance. It's beautiful.
Yeah. And then we break the fourth wall.
Or as a Christmas message, they wish peace and love to everyone out there. And then they bring their entire production staff on camera and introduce them all one at a time, or they try to, at least as the credits roll.
Yeah, every one of those gentlemen looked like my grandfather coming right out of his shop at 5 o'clock when the whistle blows. They're all wearing button-up shirts with horn-rimmed glasses, and yeah, they don't look creative at all, but
they all seem to be, very happy to be there with these young, hippie type kids. They had to have
known that they were going to do that.
Yeah,
they were going to start bringing people up in front of the cameras. I mean, some of those ladies, they call them the monkey girls. Yeah, it was fun. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was. It made me sad and I still get sad about this, is that they never did a season 3. I guess what they wanted to do was like a laugh-in type variety show for their season 3, rather than a scripted show like they had been doing. But the network nixed it, even though Laugh-In was already in existence.
Right. Yeah, that was the era of variety shows too. That would have been perfect.
So what they wanted to do was, do comedy skits. They would play a song themselves. They'd have special guests to do music, and I think that would be great.
That would have been fantastic.
Yeah, but nobody wanted to do that.
Didn't happen, huh?
The show ended. Yes. And eventually so did the Monkees themselves. Peter left first in late 1968. And then Mike.
Wow, really?
Peter was the one to leave. And then Mike, Mickey, and Davey carried on for a year. They put out 2 albums as a trio. And they appeared as guest stars on numerous TV shows, The Glenn Campbell Show, The Johnny Cash Show, and a few others. And then they called it quits finally in 1970. And then they've been resurrected many times since.
Yeah. Do you remember MTV actually had the New Monkees? It was like an open casting call.
The New Monkees. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And this had to have been late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah.
And I only remember because I think one of the actors who they hired, his last name was Chandler. And I think it lasted like 2 episodes.
Right.
I don't remember. But they were all trying to, the new Munsters or Munsters Now, taking all that stuff and put in syndication. But
right.
Yeah, this is good stuff. This has been a while, like I said, since I actually sat and watched a Monkees episode. And now I have the whole box set from the library for 2 weeks. So I may watch a couple more.
Yeah, I recommend you watch the episode entitled Fairy Tale, I think, which is maybe 2 or 3 episodes after the Christmas show.
Yeah. It's on that disc. Yeah, it's a 5-disc set. So there was a lot of episodes.
Yeah. So hopefully all you Monkees fans out there have tuned in for this one.
Yes. Were they ever inducted in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
No, they have not been, and they've never even been nominated. There's lots of controversy around this that they think, because I was saying that a lot of the people, that are still around that were alive in the 60s still have a huge prejudice against the Monkees.
That they were just nothing but a kid show.
Yeah, you were handed everything on a silver platter. You didn't have to earn this, da-da-da-da-da. So a lot of those people who make the decisions for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, we think, and I say we, Monkees fans, think that prejudice may still be alive today.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, listen, it's I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up the fact that Neil Diamond got his start writing for the Monkees.
Yes, I'm a believer.
Yeah.
I think a little bit me, a little bit you was him, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he brings those out. He breaks those out in concert, but he wrote those. Well, that's too bad. No Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
No.
So I do want to play a little game here now that we've covered all 3.
Okay.
I'm going to lean into our 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon.
Ooh. So
it was a lot easier on my end than I thought, but it did take some work. So do the Monkees have 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon?
The Monkees have 2 degrees.
That is ridiculous. I want to see. What I should have done is challenged each of us to do each other, but that is going to take way too long. So
you're right.
All right. Fill me in. Let's hear this.
So we have already watched Head, the Monkees movie.
Yep. Okay.
Which is co-written and features Jack Nicholson. Jack Nicholson stars with Kevin Bacon in A Few Good Men.
That's way too easy. That's way too easy. I will do Pee-wee Herman. And again, it's only 2 degrees.
Okay.
We already mentioned him. Cowboy Curtis, played by Lawrence Fishburne. Lawrence Fishburne was in Mystic River with Kevin Bacon.
There you go. Yes.
So it wasn't as challenging as I thought. I thought maybe we could have some fun with it. And I'm like, oh, it's almost too easy.
Right.
So, but there you go. You can't listen. We can't do a Kevin Bacon centric episode and not play that game. So that's it. I'm completely in the holiday spirit now.
Yes. And we hope that you are too. And happy holidays. Merry Christmas to everyone out there. Thank you for listening during the year.
Ding,
ding, ding, ding, ding, ding, ding.
Police blah, blah, blah. So that's it. This is our last episode for the year. We are taking 2 weeks off. As you heard, Christina has already jumped ship. She didn't want anything to do with Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yes.
No, that's not true.
But she's already on her way back to New York to visit her family.
Yes, because that's what we do this time of year.
But she'll be back along with the 2 of us in early January. We're going to be talking about Knives Out as our main feature when we come back.
You mean Glass Onion?
Glass Onion. Well, it's a Knives Out movie, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
And along with Glass Onion, we are watching Dead Again.
Is this the one where they're on the boat, the yacht? No. That's Dead Calm. That's
that's something else. That's Nicole Kidman.
I'm thinking of the wrong movie altogether.
No, this is Dead Again with Emma Thompson and Kenneth Branagh.
I better write this down. I'm gonna again. So he was already dead once, and now they're dead again. I did see this in the theater.
You did? Okay.
Are there scissors involved in this?
Perhaps.
I think so.
But again, thank you so much for listening. And we hope that you've just gleaned a little bit of joy, just a percentage of the joy that we get when we record these episodes.
Is that what it is? I thought it was the Sno-Caps stuck in my tooth. All right. Thanks as always. Happy New Year and enjoy.
We'll see you in 2023.
Ooh, not if I see you first. Bye.
Bye. Hey, everybody. If you like what you just heard, be sure to follow TMI Confessionals of the Nerd Kind on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, or whatever you listen to your favorite podcasts on. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and then share it with your fellow movie nerd friends. It means the world to us and helps our listenership grow.
You can also find us on all of the socials, Instagram and Twitter at TMI_podcast 2018. We're on Facebook and YouTube as well. Just look for the Popcorn Bucket.
You can help support this show by visiting our TeePublic page for some TMI branded goodies such as hoodies, t-shirts, mugs, and stickers. tpublic.com/TMI Confessionals, all one word.
A 5-star review would be incredibly nice as well. I'm just saying.
Thanks again for listening. We truly appreciate you. Be sure to come back next week. We'll save some popcorn for you.
Feliz Navidad.